Hey everybody, my name is Taylor from SoSo Cycles, and welcome back to the Motor Swap Ducati project. We have been waiting long enough, and the frame is finally back from powder coat. So let's put it back together. As we all know, the powder coating and painting industry is always busy, especially in the summer, and especially in the late summer like August when we dropped this thing off. But it's now back, so let's go over it.
And here it is, fresh from CC Coatings here in Portland. We tried for the original 916 pale gold, but we added a little sparkle for that pop. And the first thing that we need to put in is this nasty eccentric headset. All it needs is a good cleaning and some lithium grease, and it is ready to go in the frame.
So there is a slight issue already, but it's not too bad. So let me show you.
Sometimes when you weld things, the heat can cause the surrounding metal to flex, even heavy gauge tubing like our frame. And in this case, because of the cross brace, our motor mounts are just a tiny bit closer than they should be. So as you can see, our frame spacing is just a hair under 8 inches, and the motor itself is just a hair over.
And it's really no big deal. I just don't have the hydraulic assistance I need to spread that apart any farther. I tried a car jack and I just didn't want to screw anything up, so I gave up. But that just means another visit to Heath. So let's do it.
But due to our schedules, we only had about 10 minutes of time to get this done, so Heath stopped by with some hydraulic spreaders, and we had to go, leading to this.
Well, after about an hour, I feel pretty good about this. All I really want to do in this episode is make it back into kind of a mechanically complete roller. I don't think we're too far away. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm going to get the rear shock on, radiator, airbox, stuff like that, get it all kind of ready to go. Kind of plug in all the brakes, get all that stuff back on, and we'll call it good. But I'm pretty pleased to see the motor off the bench for the first time in a couple months. That's a nice change. And there's a couple little issues that I want to sort, but we'll get there. For now, I just want this thing to be a roller again. So let's continue on. First things first, rear shock. And if you guys don't remember, let me get a little closer to the camera. So this is the shock we're going to be using on the bike and the linkage. And I know I've talked about what it is, but I never talked about where it came from. This is off of Michael Rudder's 2003 British Superbike Championship winning bike. It was an FO2, I believe, and the thing was won in FO3, so it was, or an 03, so it was a year old at that point. But you can also see, and I know I mentioned it before, but this is clearanced a little tiny bit right there because those large diameter race exhausts would hit this, so they had to clearance it just a tiny bit so it wouldn't rattle. But anyway, the only reason, and some people will say, oh, how do you know it's from that bike? How do you know it's from that bike? I bought it from the guy that owns the bike itself. So thanks, Chris Key. Some of you guys know that guy. Chris has been an infinite amount of help trying to find all these crazy, weird Ducati RS parts, and the rarer the stuff, I always knew I could go to him and ask. And if you remember, this linkage is also incredibly hard to find, this adjustment rod and this linkage, and this is all thanks to Michael from SoSo Cycles for searching out this stuff for me and finding it, because it was a pain in the butt. He also found this beautiful swing arm for me that I know is very, very low production numbers, because I like the rare stuff, I like the weird competition use stuff. Stuff with stories is just, it's just infinitely cooler, because in building a bike that can do all this crazy stuff, and I don't know anybody that could outride this bike, the one time I get someone on this bike that will outride it, I want the best stuff on it. There you go. Next up, subframe. Next up is something a little trivial. This is the carbon fiber chain guard, but I need this to be able to hold these stupid things down and get them out of the way. So I'm just gonna put it on real quick. Basically, I've got the rear brake line and the rear speed sensor cable running through the same thing, which is only really meant to hold a brake line. So it doesn't quite fit, but it fits well enough for our purposes. And why do you say that, do we want a speed sensor? Well, because I like my dashes to be functional. And if somebody's riding this thing and wants to not know how fast they're going, like a lot of track day riders go, they can tape off the instrument cluster. But I think for now, I would like to know how fast I'm going. You know, it's kind of nice sometimes. God. It wasn't a 10, it was an 8. Next up, we need to get it out of the way because it's just kind of hanging free right now. But everybody's favorite part, or at least one of my favorite parts, Ducati Course clutch slave. I figure while we're over here, might as well do the radiator. So if you're wondering, this is how I did my cooling setup. Basically, I have to zip tie this here, and then everything clears the fairings. There's enough space for the battery box, and there we go. So once this is all on, it works really, really well. And there it is. Boy, oh boy. I always forget how light this thing is. that is seriously like, that is crazy. All right. If you have ever used Speedy Moto products or have Speedy Moto sliders or anything like that, that is my friend Christian, who has commented on these videos saying that he would really like to ride that. And Christian, if you are watching, I would also like you to ride this thing. So, God, that is the most satisfying thing, putting this clip in. I don't know if you guys think it's dumb or not. I really love this stupid wheel nut, and it took me so long to find. I've always wanted one, and it weighs nothing. It's so cool. I think what I'm gonna do now is put on the header pipes and get it up to here because I still need to do a bit of trimming. That's also why I did not put on the breather box. I got a little work to do there. So let's get the rest of the exhaust on and call it good. Okay.
You know what time it is. Let's do it.
Well, there it is. I feel really good about doing glamour shots again, and I hope you guys like them. I really like doing them. Anyway, so for this 1098 swapped track beast, we are on the warpath to getting it done, but there are a couple little issues that I will go over more in depth with you in the next episode. They're just weird swap issues, kind of putting together Lego bikes like this. They're not all Legos. There are a couple little things that I've been putting off that did not affect its rideability, but will affect it when we actually want to ride it more than a block, which it's never been ridden more than a block. But I will tell you that this much throttle in first and second, I've only ridden it a couple up and down the block a couple times, but this much throttle in first and second, and the front end just goes up. It is okay. So anyway, until the next episode when we will be tackling some issues and hopefully getting it running again, thanks for watching. See you next time.